was fast.
Well, I can finally say good afternoon. This is the Ad-Hoc Task Force on per diems, 12 p.m. Wednesday, May the 17th. Everyone is here except Ralph, and he was excused. So we do have a quorum. I call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments within jurisdiction of task force. Anybody out there?
Hello?
Are we muted still?
Didn't think so. You? I don't believe, I'm the only participant.
Nobody?
You were?
Okay. Okay, consideration of the minutes, April 24th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, communications shared by task force members. I have a whole page of things. So I'm gonna start it off, and then when you get tired of me, just say so. Change. I was at the Ad Hoc Structure Task Force meeting on the 11th. That was, there's 5 members: Jacob, Brian B., Conley, Mary Beth, and Paul Isaac. The standing, the resolution that we sent to them, they approved that on that. And it went on the 11th. I was at that meeting on the 11th, and discussed with that committee, this is with the structured task force meeting, that there is some interest in getting this thing done very quickly before the budget starts. So they were putting out to the department heads questionnaires, and then we're going to, okay, give 2 weeks for this and 2 weeks for that, and we don't time out. We really need the answers much faster than that. Because we are at the point we can't do much until we get that information on that. If they're going to take these committees and combine them on that, that's going to change all of our numbers right there. I don't know if they're going to do it or not. I don't know if they're going to have the horses behind them to combine the committees, but they are definitely looking that direction on that. So they said that they would have everything to us by June. So I don't know if that's early June or what, which is going to make it very tight for us to make the decisions on what we're going to do.
Just to piggyback on that,
Yeah.
you know, after talking to Jacob and him telling me about the 3 different things that they're leaning towards, but that would only, if we can't even do anything with that until we get approval or do a resolution that we can change it other than free them to, right?
The salary.
The salary.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't even do that. So the timing might not be too far off because we still have to do the resolution and send it to the regular board,
Yes,
right?
that's correct. Yeah. That's good.
So, I mean, it might actually work out at the same time. Could
Yeah,
it?
yeah, because it has to be done by the beginning of the budget meeting, by the annual meeting, which is the annual meeting. I'm sorry about that. I gotta apologize. I thought the annual meeting was the first meeting.
Oh, don't worry about it. It got passed. It
I'm sorry.
doesn't matter. So, I mean, but you see my point is like, what do we do at that point? So do we, I mean, will that come together maybe?
Yes, I think it will.
I mean,
But we
maybe.
have to justify this. In my mind, we have to justify the fact that what we're doing here, this per diem is going to, I would like a nice round number, that the increase would be to the county would be a nice round number. So if we take what we are spending right now in per diem money, not mileage, forget the mileage, you have to have that one way or another. Take that number, whatever it is, if it's $100,000, it's $100,000. I'm just putting a number out there on that, and we divide that up into the salaries to go to salaries, and there's 20 or 36 of us times $3,000 is roughly about the same amount of money. So that would be a 0 cost to the taxpayers on that. So I want to be able to get that number but it's going to depend upon what the structure committee does. I think they're going to have some structured committees also there to get paid for diem.
You know, I personally would rather see us do a wage study, like you got the 17 counties that align with us. I don't care what we're getting paid right now. I want it, just like we did for the employees, we did a wage study for the employees so that they were paid an average of what every other county was being paid. So if all of us would take 4 counties and do a wage study, and then we bring them back and we collaborate, and we say that, you know, counties of our size, and this is what their supervisor is getting paid monthly, have it be $500, $600. And if we go to a salary, then that's what our salary would be recommended plus mileage. Because we're not gonna stay on the same budget if we're saying these jobs have any value.
Yeah.
It's like every year when the elected officials, we give them a 4 or 5, 6% raise because we want the sheriff to make what Allegheny County Sheriff makes.
Yep.
You know, so why do we treat ourselves different just because we handle the money? You know, I'm not running again next year, so this money isn't gonna come to me. You know, this is my last term, but I don't think anybody that runs for that position should make less than Allegheny County supervisor. We got 36 supervisors, we got about the same size county. So why are we only worth 400 and they're worth 600? I guess I don't understand that. You know, we need to be treated just like an employee of this county, because that's what we are. And if we do a wage study and we basically blend what we shouldn't be overpaid, but we shouldn't be underpaid. That's my feelings. I mean, I think you have to get out of the mindset. This isn't a volunteer job. You're a CEO or on a board of directors of a company that's $190 million budget, and next year probably $194 million budget. And your input and knowledge is worth something. You shouldn't be here, you know what I mean? You can't run a business with people that look at it as, well, I'm just volunteering. I got 2 hours today. I got no time next month. You know, you have to be committed to basically overseeing the county budget.
To do the job right. Yeah.
I believe, and I believe you should be compensated appropriately for it. But that's just my opinion.
And we have some of the information,
If we do.
right? Quite a bit of it.
Yep.
I don't know what I did with it. It's in here someplace.
I got one.
So that's all I wanted to talk about, because I haven't been to that meeting before. Does anybody else have anything you want to share? Communications? Okay, we move on then. Discuss board comments, changes to self-organization ordinance at the board meeting. I didn't write a thing down there. Look at that. What the comments were, some of the comments were made last night.
Right, I think we just have to move forward. We just have to move forward no matter what. Doesn't matter, you know, I mean, we have to figure out. We just have to write a resolution. So that's really, I think, if we want to move forward with that.
Yeah. There's nothing, it was already decided by the board to move forward, so.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
Betsy, you're saying
we have to write a
if we want
resolution,
to
the compensation
move
part.
forward with the ordinance change that allows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
It works, okay.
Once again, don't care about the other 2 things. That's for other boards to do
Yeah.
another time. I don't care about that. I just want to focus on the compensation part now. I was trying to make that clear last night when I was talking. It's hard. If I had a whiteboard up there and I could have written, I would have been a lot easier for me to explain that, you know, this is that, these are the 3 things, these are resolutions separate from this, you know, but, I don't know.
Okay.
You explained it well.
Oh, thank you. I was trying. I don't know how well it came across because we live it. Us 6 or 7 when, you know, and we're really over here. But you know, we live it here in these meetings, so we understand it, you know, it's, that's the thing we get out, so 36 total, you know.
Yeah.
But,
It's fine.
that's what we need to work on. We need to have that done like yesterday. As soon as the meeting was over.
Well, and when you get to a salary, it won't matter how many committees you're on because you won't get paid for a committee.
That's exactly right. That's what we mean, that it should correspond with the other ad hoc. With that, if we get that passed, that way it doesn't matter how many committees, which is why I wanted to have these 2 things combined to begin with, is because I think they're together now, pretty more so. Well, I mean, we have to get this next resolution passed, or does it? We don't have any teeth with self-organizing.
I mean, that's
That's your
like,
idea.
yes,
So I'm sorry.
Yes, and if like the direction. The recommendation is like to move to a straight salary. Not have any per diems, then sort of the number of committees,
Mhm.
the number of committees a person is on doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Right, we could have 100 committees and everybody could be going to committee meetings every single day. And the salary is still
Still the same.
the salary,
No, I
and
looked
to
at
your point about not changing what that line item in our budget
Yeah.
is.
Mhm.
Now, that doesn't run the risk of saying, well, we go to a committee meeting every day, that means the per diem gets down to a negligible amount, or we only have 5 committees. And now everybody is only going to 1 committee, so now our per diem gets inflated to $500 a day or something like that, which feels ridiculously overvalued. Which is
And
also
what's
not,
nice is everybody that's on that committee will truly want to be there. Right now, some people take committees because it's $50 and mileage.
Oh, yeah.
So if I can get on more committees, I can make a little more money. You'll be on that committee because you're interested in what you're doing on that committee. So you'll be a committee member that has input, not a committee member that, well, I looked at the agenda and you come there and you vote. You don't basically research, you don't bring anything to the table, you're just sitting there basically to get $50. I like a committee member that does their research, they come there with ideas, and I may have my mind made up, but that's not saying you can't change it.
Oh, yeah.
All you have to do is prove to me that I'm wrong, and I'll be happy to change my mind.
Steve, do we run the risk of possibly people not wanting to be on committees and just use that money, that salary, and not wanting and not having it? If it's a quorum of, we need 7 people on the committee, and we only have 2 people that really want it. If we appoint people.
Other counties, Allegheny County, they still have no problem getting people on committees. They like certain,
Mhm.
responsibility
Yeah.
and, I mean, I attend all kinds of meetings that I'm not even on. Because I'm interested in them, but then when the problem goes away, like when they were building the terminal, I attended every meeting probably for a year.
Well, the airport.
Yeah, now it's done, I don't go to the meetings at all. There's nothing on the agenda that I'm interested in. What they're doing, they're basically doing a fine job on, I don't think they need my input, so I don't show up.
We don't want to hear about Lisa.
Well, it's, yeah. But, it's like, right now I have concern with Parkview because the residents are low. I make all their meetings. I'd like to see the residents. I'd like to get more CNAs so we can get back to 165 bed nursing homes.
Yes.
I think we're not doing the citizens of Winnebago County justice by not having a full nursing home where we got 35 people on a waiting list.
Yeah.
So I have an interest in that, so I attend. I don't get paid for it.
But yes,
And what is our discussion gonna be about, citizen members of committees and boards?
it's a good question. That's a good question. Because we can't
Well,
give
they-
them a salary,
Can't give them a salary, then will we continue doing per diems for them? So they have
so
some,
we might have to do that.
when you looked at other counties, what they're those who are getting salaries, did you see anything about what citizen members are getting on committees?
Most of them, the counties get paid. And Allegheny County gets $5,800 plus $25.
No, it's citizen members, how are counties paying?
Allegheny
citizens?
County gets paid the same as ours. The citizens.
Oh, they do.
Okay, so
Really?
we would be getting a salary, and a citizen sitting on one committee is
Would
getting the
be-
same
would be
salary?
getting- No, they would be getting a per diem.
They're getting per diem still.
If that's,
That's my question.
if that's what we wanted to do. I mean,
It's our
I know municipalities and I'm on the planning committee for the city of Neenah. I've never been paid.
I think based on my experience, it's an outlier that we pay.
It is. Huge outlier, yes.
City of Oshkosh doesn't pay anything.
No,
Yeah, I mean, I've
nobody
been on
pays it. We're
City
only.
of Oshkosh stuff for a while and, talking to people throughout the
Yeah.
county, I haven't heard of anybody except
No.
for our county that pays citizen.
On the school board, our citizens
Yeah.
never got paid. Nobody got paid like that extra. That's why I don't understand why we do it.
I don't know, like they say, we've always done it that way.
Well, I don't.
Well, I mean, but we haven't, because there were some people who had not been getting paid. That's why we had to fix it. So,
And this might be the fix. We drop off all the per diems.
yeah, I mean,
Be the fix right there. So,
gosh, I hate to put it that way. I hate to do that to someone, but that,
Would you want to try to grandfather people in who have been serving on committees and pick a
Until their
number,
term,
pick a number. You've been on a committee for 5 years. And not just simply drop them, but continue those people who stay on whatever committee it is. Now, if we switch committees, then that's over, but sort of keep them grandfathered in, they keep getting per diem. New people who join would not.
or just do their term.
Yeah.
Because they all have terms, right?
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they
Okay.
all have terms, so maybe just get through your term and then after that, no
But all
more.
this is changing in, oh, that's not necessarily what you're talking about.
No,
Never mind.
yeah,
Erase that.
they're staggered.
Yeah.
They're all staggered if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that way and that would make it a little bit more simpler.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just one thing that we could bring to the board, but.
Yes,
I think also just to keep in mind that a lot of times citizen members want to be on committees, commissions, boards, because there is notoriety, there's power, there's privilege,
sure, you know,
there's career building and all of that. So I was attending a township meeting and somebody just said, yeah, I'll be on the zoning, and it was like a landscaper or whatever. So there's other benefits besides just
And knowledge.
that's true,
yeah,
that's true,
and giving back to society, of course.
thank you.
And not all the time, but on human services, at least in the past, I'm looking at who's on right now. Citizen members frequently were people who were benefiting from human services, programs. Or were perhaps a grandmother with kids whose kids are getting, benefits from some human service, program.
Real estate agents on planning committees.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
So I would be in favor generally of keeping the per diem for citizens. I think even though it is an outlier, I think it's an outlier, at least I do think the points about giving people out, like giving people on human, who use human services, a opportunity to be on those boards. Like, I feel like things like that, the compensation is helpful, we're not asking people in the community to volunteer their knowledge and expertise. I think it helps motivate beyond just the people who are like developer trying to get an edge on the plant, what's going on in the plant commission or something like that. So I would at least not right now be willing to, or be interested in closing that door myself. But I think it's a really interesting, I think it's gonna be a really interesting conversation for us to have and look at what other counties do, particularly with some of these commissions like or boards like human services where we're required to have citizen members.
Not agree with that, like, take Larry Levenschlager, he's on the health board, he's the chairman. Dave Schneider, he's on the Veterans Committee, he's the chairman. He prepares the agenda, he meets with the director, they put a lot of time in that, when you're the chair of the committee, it's a lot of responsibility, and most of them would do it for nothing. Don't get me wrong, they are passionate. Larry basically worked at Winnebago Mental Health, he's got a passion for basically people with need assistance, so he would do it, but I just think sometimes you take advantage of people. And they're willing to give you all their knowledge for $75 or $50 for a meeting. I just think, how cheap can we be? You know what I mean? You're getting a wealth of knowledge for very little money. There's no benefits. You get no health insurance, you get no vacation. He worked his whole life in basically healthcare. He works at Bethel Home. He makes a whole lot more than what he's making working at the health department. He could easily pick up extra hours there if he was doing it for the money. He's doing it to serve Winnebago County, to treat our residents.
And before we say how cheap it is, maybe we should actually get numbers to see, because if we have all these commissions and boards and we're paying out on them, it would be a really good thing maybe to have that price tag. Because if it's, $50,000 a year, that changes things. To me, it does. Depending on, when the majority of people, citizens do it for no at all. We're talking the majority. I don't know of anybody else who pays their citizens to volunteer to be on these boards or commissions. So I would like to see a price tag on that. I don't know how we get that. Is that something
I just wrote it down.
you
Okay.
did? Okay, I would like to see a price tag on that before we say yes or no, or we don't even look at it. I mean, I get it if it's only like 5,000 a year, but I have a feeling that it's quite a bit more.
You know, and the committee that's looking at the committees, there's no reason we have to have 5 county board members on the committee, we can have 3.
Mhm.
You know, so we could get rid of all the citizens and we could serve on all the committees if that's what we so choose. 3 people can oversee it, you know, all we're doing is overseeing.
Wait,
the
you're
department.
talking the difference between a committee and a commission. Those are two totally different things.
Right,
I
but I mean,
mean,
all of it, we could basically like, I'm on personnel finance, we could have 3 people on there.
but for the housing, Winnebago Housing Authority, it is a board with them.
Right, well, that.
I mean, there are
somebody else
different
that's-
ones, yeah, so,
Somebody else sets the number and we're not in charge of this. We
right.
could do it for the committees that we're in charge of.
Okay. Let's get a number for
You
it.
look like you're ready to ask the question.
Well, I didn't know if I could just change the subject.
Sure.
So back to Clerk Bartle, so she's bringing up, you know, she in the office staff, you know, details about ribbon cutting and all of these things. And I'm just wondering if they could if it would be possible that they could prepare you know, details that we would not come across. We would look at it eventually before we disband. And we would be able to possibly come up with guidelines in print. You know, so in other words, they have the expertise. We would look at it and decide yay or nay and all of that, and then get that into print. I just wanted to mention that.
But do you mean that?
The details of ribbon cutting, she's just talking about, you know, they need direction, definitions, things like that. Is the feedback that we're getting from the clerk's office. And that's just something that could easily be kind of forgotten, and then they're still.
So like make a template, so
Template.
when someone is coming in, here's your template, whatever. How we proceed here or how it was done, just so they have a template, new board members have template,
Yeah.
but then it's subjective of whoever is the chairperson.
Yeah, objective data that
You know?
everybody knows, hey, I can go to this ribbon cutting, but I will not be getting paid, you know, and on and on. I just think that would be very, very helpful, take a lot of guesswork out of it, and a lot of debate and disappointment and all of that, so.
But if we went to just a salary basis, we wouldn't care. Okay.
Yeah, how would that affect?
I mean, is that
Some of
something
these-
on the table for us, considering
Salary, absolutely,
salary basis?
yeah, I mean, I think it
I missed your question, say it again.
If we were to go to just a complete salary basis, forget the per diem part.
Yeah, will there still be mileage?
It's always,
That's
always.
always separate, yeah.
Fine. I'm willing to go to a salary.
What's that? You are?
Karen's.
I'm willing.
Yes, I am as well.
I just want it simple,
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
that's-
How do we make this more
We
efficient?
can do this quick.
I mean, yeah.
We don't need, we don't need the other committee.
It feels like we're at a position where we want to see a ordinance change to allow us to do the salary. To figure out what the, you know, next step to figure out what that salary number would be.
Yeah.
I think we have a couple items here to talk about, like, if it's like county board supervisor, county committee or whatever, chair, vice chair, if those are all different, or if it's out as we kind of have it now, where it's like everybody except the vice chair and the chair, you know, so kind of just those 3 levels. And then lastly, just what we want to do with citizens and citizen arrests.
You know, like Supervisor Weiss gave us all of what, if we just divide this up, there's 17 on here, we'd each take 4. And call them, we can ask what the citizens get paid, what their current base salaries are, and we can come back and make a blended. And it should be relatively simple, we're just gonna do a wage study of these 17 counties.
Everybody in favor of doing
I'll take 4, give me 4.
Well, pass it around and.
Yeah.
I'll take whatever's left.
And these 17 are local, I mean, close to, is that how we determined the 17?
Well, they're about the same size. Supervisor
Just
White-
on population, just on population.
Okay,
So they got about the same population as we have.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
You know, we can ask if their citizens get paid, if
Oh,
they get paid,
17,
what they
so
get paid.
16, and divided into 6.
Not even, don't even have to do 4. Three. I mean, I'm more than willing to call 3 counties and find out what the.
Okay.
As long as we do it the same way,
Right.
we're gonna ask for the same information.
This pen won't write on paper.
Uh-huh.
I'll do the first 3. Let me write that down.
If you got, you can take a picture with your phone, you know,
Yeah.
and you'll have your 3 that you're
Oh,
doing,
there's an idea.
and I'll pick the.
the big one in the car. I appreciate that, because I was gonna be doing that.
You're doing the first 3.
1.
If I have to work a couple months, all of us, it's not gonna be very hard, you know?
So let's work up
Here, tell me what you want me to write. So we need to work up next week.
a call list of what we're going to ask. First of all, who we're gonna ask.
Okay, a
I would say
question.
the chairman would be the person to come down.
Yeah, and you can find out.
Executive necessary.
Wherever you wanna go.
What? Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
would contact the clerk.
Okay. Really?
Knows everything. Yes.
Okay.
You know,
Call the county clerk.
I would call the county clerk.
Okay.
Just because I think that's where
Mhm.
everything, just like your per diems get turned in.
Sure.
And I will just say, another thing that I would be willing to do is if you come up with your questions, I have all of the county clerks' emails. I would be willing to send it out to them. I'm not guaranteed I'm gonna get an answer from
Yeah.
all of them, but I would be willing to send it out to them and say, you know, if you have just a few questions that are.
So that you're saying we wouldn't have to
And
contact.
then you
We can
would,
call the ones that
everybody
don't
would
answer.
have to
Yeah.
contact
Yeah.
them.
Here's an
and ask
idea,
them
if somebody
questions.
does, you don't, if they don't get back to you, you can say, well, Karen, this is a person on your 3, call
I like willing to do that.
Thank you.
They'll know you better than us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll respond to
I
you.
just, I feel the clerk's office, now the chairman's not gonna know.
Yeah.
But I think the clerk would have
You
access
deal with it every day.
to more
You
information.
know all the dirty secrets.
I think, and they're really willing to.
Yes.
So questions we need to come up
So
with
did
now.
you?
I mean, I think- Oh,
We know which ones.
So questions would be,
I'll take that.
yeah, what,
There you
Yeah.
what is your county board salary? Do you give extra for chair people? And
Okay, just wait, county, she's probably right, county board salary.
This is what they got listed on here, the county board salary, the county board chairs per diem. Then they got the county board vice chair salary, the county board vice chairs per diem. Then they got the county members' salary, the county per diem for committees. Committee chair per diem, so if you chair a committee, some may pay extra for the chair. Then they have the daily cap for compensation. Like ours is $75, some are 50, and then mileage.
That's IRS.
Yeah,
so we need to know if they have, well,
We have to ask
most of
them.
them know if they have salary or not, right? Because they have the sheet. So, I mean, it could be updated now.
Do we
right?
wanna
But I think
ask-
this is fairly new.
Number of supervisors first, county board chair salary, county board chair per diem.
Do we need to know how many numbers, if we have the numbers? of
No, we don't know.
supervisors?
Oh, I found so many errors along there, just in the population, that I don't trust that column at all. Yeah. Cause,
But do we need to know-
Fond du Lac had one number and then they changed it. They went back to their old number.
But do we need to know how many supervisors? I mean, what purpose is that? But I'm trying to get the least amount of questions.
Yeah, I'm
because-
going to say, hey, what difference does it make?
Yeah, because I'm wondering, I'm thinking to her, I mean, no one likes to answer a crap load of questions, right? So let's just keep it down to 2 or 3 questions and be done with it, because the more we make this the less we're gonna get answers for. So what do we ask,
We,
you
we
know?
can find that number if we need. I do think it matters though, like if there were 15 supervisors, presumably the workload would be a lot
Yeah,
more than if
sure,
there's
yeah.
36. So if we were found a county with 15 supervisors that paid $15,000,
Yeah.
we might strike that as an explainable anomaly that doesn't
Mhm.
just doesn't fit our puzzle.
I mean,
But-
but right this
but we don't need
moment,
to
I
ask
can
that
sit there and
question,
take that
right.
sheet and I could find that number out
Right,
like that for
right.
each county.
So I agree with you. I don't think we should ask the clerk.
Yeah, let's keep it simple for, once again, I wanna get answers.
That hasn't, all the supervisors we get. Oh my God, the green book was.
Yeah, it's in the green book. No, it isn't. Oh, yeah, it is in the green book, yes.
We want to ask that question. Let's keep it simple.
I will just, one
Go
more
ahead.
thing, Sue did contact the county clerks, and if you would want a copy of, I haven't taken time to look at all of them, but I know it was regarding the per diems or the salary for the clerks. And I think this is when this all kind of came about while she was still here.
Oh, yeah.
She did, so
So some of these questions may already be available.
they might be. I have it in my office and I should have grabbed it, but, so I might have some of the answers
Okay.
ready.
Send it to us.
We need to know, like, do the chairs get extras? I'm assuming yes, but if they do, what it is,
Committee chairs or
Committee
Both.
chairs,
county board chair?
both.
county board, yeah.
And do they pay for their citizens?
Yep.
To be on board? Those are two big ones, right? Does anybody have another pressing question that we would need?
Or the vice chair.
Just chairs, yeah,
Vice chair.
yeah.
I don't know if there's a need for a committee vice chair.
No, that vice
Oh,
chair,
yeah.
virtually never.
The vice
happens.
chair, the county, the whole county board, we've
Yeah.
already said that, the chair, the vice chair, committee chairs, and citizen members, and the overall question was, what's the county board's salary?
Yeah, salary, and is
Or
there anything
annual.
added to the
Yeah, it's
salary?
very plus per diem.
Yeah,
And or premium.
yeah, the details of the salary.
I guess maybe like curious what you all think about what our county's putting in that total pot of money.
Mhm.
Yeah, what
I
is
guess
their
it
total
depends on the
budget
budget.
for?
Yeah, like we put, I think 135 or 125,000 in our line item.
That's a good
125.
question, that's a good.
You know, and if others are standard at 200 or 250 or something like that. Maybe we're, maybe, you know, maybe not, maybe we're in line, I don't know, but just curious what you all think about the total investment.
They may.
That's a
not
good
do that
one.
number.
Well, it should be a
would be-
line in their budget. Just like ours, right? I mean. We have ours as
Maybe.
non-division, we have our county board as one of the non-divisional accounts. We have a labor account associated with that, and I'm assuming that other counties are following.
So
Standard
we don't know
accounting.
what, like, they could have their electronic stuff in that. Amount,
Well, it'd be a
like
different
last
line item.
night, would it?
Yeah,
Okay,
That would be.
because last night they talked about like it was all in one huge count. That's
Do
why,
you see- do you see that as a separate, like, reimbursements and how that might be line itemed, as a question that you would pose, or?
Or I could try going on to their websites and just look at their budgets, because I would think it would be posted on all of them.
That's a
And
lot of
see-
work.
because we have to think, okay, so say she got this questionnaire. What would she know right off the bat?
I would have-
well, you knew the
You-
125, you
Right.
corrected me on that. but-
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna, you know, yeah, I don't wanna like make people do a whole lot of work, even ballpark. I mean, I think my only. Thought is like, if the answer we get back from people is, oh, we pay a per diem. That doesn't necessarily help us get to what the total compensation. How is our total compensation in line with another counties? Cause I think the question that everybody is sort of. Getting towards is we want our total compensation to be in line with everybody else's total compensation.
But then you have to look at all the different layers to that. I mean, that's a huge onion when you think about it. How many board members, how many committees do they have?
But and that's what I
Their
thought, just
budget.
as
Yeah.
another reference check, so we'd have like. If they have a salary, that's an easy comparison. If they have a per diem, we can make some assumptions, or we could look at like a total amount that they're budgeting.
Yeah, that would be.
for
the
their
key.
county board, salaries, and I think,
That would be a good number.
yeah, I mean, I don't think we have to know all, I don't think we have to have everybody's perfectly, but I mean, like, ours is pretty, I found it just in the last 10 seconds here as our conversation has been, been going on, like. Say no what it is, but like, it should be pretty clear, it won't, it shouldn't be conflated with iPads or, other things that the county
Okay.
board might spend.
But it will be conflated with, okay, say somebody Allegheny has a budget of 200,000 for their county board salaries, and they only have 15 people.
Yep.
So,
Yes,
that makes it a whole lot different. And then you have to decide, do they, So now we need to figure out the
Well,
actual.
then you have to have the travel in there, because travel is a big part of the county board's budget, like we went to Washington.
Mhm.
Every one of us was $2,500, I'm going to Austin, that's $2,500, my travel for this year is $5,000. I believe that the last time I looked, the county board had about $250,000 budget. And
right, because
usually
we
Tom gets
separate
that-
labor and travel, so
Yeah.
your $5,000 of travel isn't coming out of that $125,000 that we budget for per diems for labor or whatever.
Oh, that's not for the days though. So he gets paid while he's there,
$75 a day.
And
$75.
that part, that $75 is coming out of the labor part of
Mm-hmm.
it, but if you book a hotel, airplane,
Right.
that's coming out of the travel part of our
Yeah.
line item of our budget, of our county board budget.
There's a lot of layers.
But I mean, that could, but like, that's not like really what we're concerned about, right? Is we're not concerned about how many people are traveling to conferences or things like that. We're answering the question of, do we think that's a compensatable, a daily compensatable thing, or is that built into the
Mhm. The
the
salary,
salary
Yeah.
piece of it?
absolutely, I see where you're going
Yeah.
at. Mhm.
Anything else want to add?
We have so much work to do.
When she gets back with this. When's our next meeting? Can we have it Friday? Can we have this by Friday?
We need to confirm what questions he's gonna ask. Are you good with that or?
Yep, no, I am.
Okay,
So I'm just gonna clarify now, am I asking how many supervisors they have?
no.
Okay, so I
Well, I
crossed.
think, Toby, you said yes. No?
No, I was saying we could
Don't
look,
worry,
if
don't
we had
worry.
any questions, that's easy to look up.
Okay. I have county board salary. This is for the chair, and then the county board chairs per diem. And then the same thing for the vice chair,
Yes.
and then I have just the county board salary. Or per diems, or both. You had mentioned, Betsy, about something about a daily cap, or it's on your report, do you need that?
We need that.
No, I don't, think we're good.
Okay. And then I have the chair and vice chair of committees.
I think
Are
only
they-
chairs, I don't think vice chairs.
Just chairs,
Yeah,
okay?
I've been vice chair, and it's just, it's
We will.
a placeholder.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's not like you're thinking.
You know, whether they would get a separate salary. Plus a per diem, or not, maybe not a separate salary, but just. More than what, just a committee? That's not, I'm not wording it right then.
Some of them get
Because I-
$25, like it's, the normal committee is $50, the chairman gets 75, they get $25 more.
Right, but if these are our standing committees. And they're already getting a salary, are you gonna have a separate per diem for the? Am I going in the right direction?
I think the answer is that some counties do a salary and then they do a smaller per diem for committee meetings.
Okay,
And then, if I'm understanding you right, I think some of those counties even offer a higher per diem
for the
for the
chair.
chair.
And
Okay,
maybe not call it a per diem, because when I think per diem, I think of per meeting. So when I hear, like, if somebody's a chairperson, I'm thinking it's just a bump in their salary for that term until they're in that position. Does that make sense? Not a per meeting type of thing. Does that, so for example, Chairman Egan, he's making $5,000 above and beyond
his normal stuff, right? So, if say we were, okay, I'm just throwing numbers out there, just please do not hold me to this, I'm trying to make these. So say we had a salary of 5,000 for all board members and your chairperson, you're making an additional 5,000. That's it. For the chair.
Yes.
So now for individual, committees, so you're the committee member, you're the committee chairperson for planning and zoning, okay? So you got 5,000 as your base salary, and then you make an additional maybe 1,000 for that position. So you're making 6,000 for that year, and then next year, if you're still chairperson, then you make the same 6,000. I don't wanna say per diem, because I feel like
Yeah.
I like that. better.
Stipend or.
Stipend.
The
salary
question is
or
total compensation then, right?
Compensation.
yeah, does it make sense
Yeah.
to me? I mean, that's my head is like,
What
we're,
it-
we're mixing the two names and I'm like, oh, you know,
And
when
we,
you get
yeah,
that. you
other
just-
counties do that though, but I do like your thoughts on that, just to kind of get away from the.
Per meeting type of thing.
Yeah,
And
I
I-
just needed to know how to word it, because that's what I was.
Okay,
cons-
Compensation.
I may be changing my mind with the vice chair. So suppose you have a chair and a vice chair, and the chair spends several few months out of the year zooming in because he's down in Florida or is a no-show. Maybe the vice chair who's running meetings, maybe there should be an extra compensation for the vice chair. I hadn't thought about that, that there actually are. I mean, I've run a meeting for Steve in the past because he was the chair, I was the vice chair. That's very seldom, but there may be a time where chairs are busy or away, vacation, the vice chair, maybe some of the stuff may fall on the vice chair. So then, do you want to bump up the vice chair or put them equal to the chair?
Or maybe half, so like,
Doesn't seem like they should be equal. I mean, the chair just seems to carry the brunt of it.
I don't know, I'm talking about in that rare situation where you've got a chair right there and suddenly everything's landing on the vice chair because the chair's a no-show. He's in Florida, he's got a sick mother, it could happen.
It could happen.
Yeah.
I don't know where I came across it. It was one of the counties had a rule that if you missed 3 votes or something like that at your meetings, that you would not get the salary maybe the next month or something like that.
Mr., like
Three,
chose to abstain from a vote?
no, not that, no, that's a vote. That's
You said 3 votes.
3 votes, yes. If you were not there to take a vote.
Oh, no,
3 consecutive times.
Yeah,
or
three
something.
consecutive times.
So they tried that on the Nina school board. We were trying that because we had someone who was gone all the time and, I think legally,
You know,
I think that was pretty much impossible
Was
to.
it- okay, maybe it was from you, Ivan.
Maybe but yeah, and
School board.
we tried that at one point, and I know that. Jim came up, the other Jim, sorry, our attorney came and was like, yeah, don't even touch this, the Jim took hold.
Okay.
That was what I was told, that maybe things are different now, but.
So with the vice chair and a certain circumstances, I mean, yeah, that could be something that we could discuss as far as their compensation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, yeah,
I think once we get this out of information, that nobody's gonna get us, we are gonna be rocking this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
At the same time, okay, we can just kind of just slide over a little bit at the same time, can we discuss the Zoom meetings?
in other words,
Yeah, are you a voting member of the committee? When you're on Zoom?
your vote doesn't count on a Zoom call, but that doesn't matter. But if you're coming into the Zoom meeting and you're getting paid a salary, it doesn't matter.
It wouldn't matter.
It would not matter, right?
Well, you can suspend the rule and then the rule will come.
That way, yeah, and then we have,
Quorum or something like that.
you know, and that solves the issue with people going to committees that aren't a member of and that are still getting paid for it.
They make more than, I make it.
Yeah, so I mean, that kind of, that mutes that entire problem with the salary. We don't even have to deal with that. Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we just clear the entirety of it and make it simple for everybody people that are coming into the board. You say, this is what your salary is, this is what it is, done. It's not, let me give you instructions on this 6,000 times and you have to figure out which meeting belongs, to which, you know.
Yeah, what if they ask me to go?
What I do.
Okay, anything else?
Oh, so we need to figure out about a resolution. We have got to get this written in the next meeting.
I think we asked Mary Ann
Yeah,
to,
Mary Ann, I think we just give her the information and she's the one who actually writes resolutions.
So we don't have to have the amount of salary, it's just a.
We just need
it's
to
just
ask
a-
to allow us to use the compensation side for the self-organizing. That's all we need. I don't know how to write that. Are we
Mary
supposed to
Ann.
have something somewhat written and then give it to her?
I have
no, she could just draw it up, cause it's,
She knows.
it's an ordinance change, so she's gonna want it to be in. You know, her good words.
You know,
And she's going on vacation tomorrow, and how long is she gonna be gone?
Basically June 1st.
That's okay, the board isn't meeting until, doesn't meet until the second week of June.
Is that the next meeting?
Yep, I
Maybe
don't,
I mean, the second week, where we
or
meet?
third, I'm sorry,
Oh.
third, I'm goofed up. And I think it is only June, so we still have a little, if we didn't get it in for June, we could still have it for July while continuing our work to find this information out and then settle on what those numbers, what our recommendation for those numbers would look like.
And she could have her, like, Tori help out with that.
Yeah, it's gonna be copy paste too,
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
from some of those other.
Okay, I'll talk to her about that.
So with that in mind, we should be continuing our meetings here. Once we get information in a couple weeks, and then maybe review all the information. Think about where we want to go and then wait for
Okay, I will contact
Mary Ann.
Mary Ann and see when they, as soon as they get us, boilerplate. That we can work on it. And then we'll set aside that meeting based on that.
We'll have to go through JPS too with that.
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yes.
So when JPS is next meeting,
They meet the first Monday of the month.
First one.
okay, so theirs would be the 5th. So we need to have a resolution and with them, I'll talk to Brian and tell him to put a placeholder in there for us.
That's
A resolution, oh yeah. We can ask her today if she can have one of her,
okay.
the people on her staff. I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. Do you
Any-
guys?
I mean, I think. I also think if we have to wait till July, it doesn't, it's not the end of the world if it has to wait till July, there's still time.
Mhm.
And,
No, we have to go JPS on
Well,
everything
I mean,
first.
I understand that, I mean, I think, it's not ideal, but I mean, as I think about it, if we go to JPS and the county board in July, that still gives us 6-8 weeks between now and then to be gathering that data, processing it and making, 3 or 4 key decisions about what recommendation would then follow that, because regardless, right, we probably have a couple, maybe 2 or 3 meetings worth of decisions to make to get to our recommendation.
Mhm.
I mean, if we, I guess what I'd say is like, if we hit that June schedule, what changes? What changes in the way that we do our work?
But we know if we can do it or not. Because if we don't get that extra resolution done. We can't do a salary unless we do it at the budget time, and that's 2/3 vote. And we're not gonna get it at 2/3 vote.
But we'd still wanna come to a, I mean, presumably based on 6 of us, maybe the 6 of us would still wanna try that and still wanna have like a number to come out with, so I was kind of thinking. Regardless, we're gonna want a recommendation of that number,
Mhm.
but.
But if we
If we,
get
if
done
we
in
can,
June,
great, I mean, I just,
I don't think it's gonna be that big of an issue.
yeah, I mean, I
I think
just,
she already has actually a boilerplate thing ready to go because she knew we were doing this.
I think if we can hit it, that's fine, I just don't wanna panic if we don't, cause I think we've still got a lot of work, like I said.
Yeah, then we have to take it to the.
And none of this takes effect until after the 24 election, is that correct?
Right.
Yes,
But we have to have it done before they take their papers off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
we
has
just-
to go through the budget, be approved.
and we have to do PS first, so
Yeah.
GPS has to do, I mean, and that's gotta be done twice, because we have to go, this compensation thing, we have to go to JPS first, then the board, and then we have to go back for when we have
Special orders or something.
when we have a
Recommendation.
recommendation, let's go JPS, and then they have to say yes, and then we go, so that's twice we have to go through that procedure, it's a lot.
But there is like, the end of the budget.
First step.
But if Mary Ann can do it, it's great, but she wouldn't do it, she says she can't get it done, she's busy, well, then we'll have to. You know what?
Yeah, really is. Yeah.
We have no control over her schedule, but if she can do it for us, and Brian's willing to keep the spot for us, I would just do it, but if she says no, there's no way, I'm. Way behind, I can't do it for you, well then.
Right, absolutely. So
You know,
true.
So if you can get her to do it, I'm all for doing it in June.
Jim, you're the
let's
one
do
for
it.
that one,
All right,
and I'll cover Ryan.
good.
Just something also, I just want to share, my thoughts on the fact that due diligence wise, it's great that we're checking in with other counties, but we also can use common sense too with our ideas of what would be a fair compensation also. So, I mean, because I just want to mention, yeah, we're going to these meetings and, you know, there's comments that, you know, you make this, you're working really hard for, you know what I mean? That doesn't even include constituents' needs. Hey, I'm not getting anywhere with this department or whatever. You take that up on, you know, take that onto your shoulders. You follow it, you open a case, you know. So I'm just saying that, yes, we are gonna do due diligence, and thank you, Julie, for any of this assistance that, you know. But at the same time, we also have our common sense as far as what is fair. What seems right, we could kind of hash that out amongst all of us, so just want to throw that out there.
I saw one that did,
I'm 100% agree.
I saw one in Fond du Lac, that they did, and I thought it was, at first I saw it, and oh, why, this is crap, but they had down for the year 2024, that this is your salary. And then they're right behind it, they had for the year 2026, this is your salary, and I go, well, why did they do two of them there? So that this committee doesn't have to meet and do it. And the budgets, you're trying to get the budgets over 4 years or whatever it is. Why not do that? If they get then, we might want to stagger it so that we go for, let's just pick a number, $3,000 this year, and then 2 years from now, it becomes 4,000 or something like that. That we consider both of them two alternatives then.
So if we go, you're saying if we go to, if we do set it, then we have to approve a resolution presumably have to approve a resolution every time before an election, just like we do for the sheriff or the executive, okay.
But if we're actually on the salary, you could just take the same percentage that they take. Like give the sheriff a 4% salary across the board.
Yeah,
There's no reason, we don't do that because we try to keep round numbers, we try to keep $50.75. You don't want 61.50 by June. So if we go in with salary, what is the difference if you raise the salary $4? You're getting, you know, basically $5,000 a year. You add 4% to it. The next year you add 4% to it. Whatever we give the rest of the elected officials, why wouldn't you take it yourself?
Yeah.
You're an elected official,
Yeah.
you're working no different than a sheriff.
Nice.
You know, it's like we always look at ourselves like, well, we don't deserve nothing. Why?
Gotta stop that.
You have to look at yourself as a valuable asset to the county, and that you're basically contributing to overseeing the departments. So why wouldn't you want to be compensated the same as everybody else? You're not a volunteer. You're giving an awful lot of your time. You know, I volunteered for soccer. I was truly a volunteer, you know, but I did it because I enjoyed doing it. I'm not volunteering for this. I do it because I had interest in the county government for years. So it was an enjoyable experience for me, but you know, after 8 years, the joy is running out. It's time to move on.
I'm not on the school board anymore. 12 years was enough.
I lasted longer, I was on the county board or on the chairman for Winnebago Community Credit Union for 20 years. I lasted on that 20 years. But that was a whole lot easier than this. This year is about 8 years and I'm ready to turn.
Were you paid for that? I asked.
We got so much money for education, like we could go to conferences out of state. I went to Las Vegas, Mexico. We couldn't get paid a salary, but we got paid educational money.
Oh, that's an interesting way to do it.
Mhm.
Okay, we're not gonna do that. We're going to Vegas. No, we're still being there. Anyway, okay, is there anything else? Before I close this?
Are we gonna schedule a date for the next meeting?
No.
No,
Not yet.
okay.
That's okay, I'll send it out to you.
We need a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
picking a date and then setting it up means you know what all of our other schedules are,
Mhm.
or when we're having other, I think it's a better idea to.
I'd like to get
I-
back to Mondays.
I will be gone, after June 15th through the 24th, just so you know.
Yeah, the next, in 2 weeks, the only Monday is Memorial Day.
Oh, no, that's.
Yeah,
not gonna
and that's
happen.
not gonna happen.
From now into-
So it would have to be the 31st in 2 weeks on a Wednesday if we wanna do it.
Oh, it's May, okay.
No, Wednesdays are busy days.
We're saying yes or no to Wednesday.
I would like Mondays.
The 29th,
Yeah,
that's
but
a
then-
Memorial.
Monday's Memorial
But
Day.
that's Memorial Day, so I can't, well, that's the 5th, and that's JPS and PNS. and
Human
everything.
Services,
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so that's not gonna work either, so that's why I'm saying, can we just do it Wednesday the next time, and then maybe change it after
Yeah.
that,
The Wednesday.
the 31st. Tentatively,
First, noon first.
if that works, that's fine. I mean, is there a better time that would work for you? Would that make it easier?
No, that's fine.
so 12 again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Memorial Day kind of messes it up. Are you around too?
Yeah, I will be here at work. The only thing would be is if I cannot get this room, we might need to meet in the room at the
That's
top of
fine.
the steps.
The one up there is fine too.
Wherever is easy for you. Mhm.
I don't know if I can check while Zoom is recording. I don't wanna,
Okay, anything else? Anybody want to adjourn?
So moved. Oh, second.
Whatever, whoever wants to do it.
I.
Well, it's not a committee.